All right.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you very much, Sarah, for getting us started and for having us today. We are here to talk to students about the Business of the Arts online course being offered this summer, but what we will call an international online course because the faculty will be based in London. And so we'll be telling you a little bit more about the main ideas behind the course, how it will be delivered, and some of the resources that will be incorporated that will make this unique compared to other courses that might be offered through the WashU regular summer course portfolio. Before we get into the course, I will introduce our organization. So we're called Accent Global Learning, and we are a company that partners with universities like WashU to design study abroad programs and design them specifically with a group of students in mind. So we've worked with WashU and specifically with Olin Business School for 20 years to design programs for you students that are designed based on the curriculum on campus and designed based on the resources that our faculty and different study centers in Europe bring to us with you in mind. So that's my role, is working directly with schools like WashU to put together new courses and programs. And I'm here today with my colleague Matt Maslin from our study center in London. So I can let Matt introduce himself.
Hi everyone, I'm Matt. As Jim said, I'm the Accent Centre Director based over in London.
Excellent. Good, so we can jump into the course, which is called Business of the Arts. This course, I think it's important for everyone to, when choosing a course for this summer or many courses that you'll take as part of summer session, to think about exactly what you want to get out of it, whether it's, degree requirements, something for your major or minor, but also thinking too about personal development and what's the full package that a course can bring. And what makes this course unique is that it was originally designed to be taught abroad in London as a study abroad course. And because of that, it was designed to promote what we call global thinking or global learning. Some of the soft skills that you can bring to whether they are internship interviews, future employment interviews, graduate school applications, to help you learn not just about key concepts in business and the arts, but also to think about you yourself as a professional, as an individual, and how you engage with complex problems. So this course is specifically designed to promote global thinking. And that means, how do we approach complex problems while taking into account big ideas like cultural identities and differences in value systems, ways of communicating, different cultural ways of resolving conflicts. So you will be studying most likely from the United States. You might be studying somewhere else in the world as an online course, but you'll be led by faculty that are based in the UK, in London, and you'll be having conversations with guest speakers that might be from different cities in the UK. They could be calling in from Brussels with the European Union. They could be in another European country. So you'll be wanting to think about, what cultural frame point is this person coming from? And how does that impact the information that they're sharing with me? And this is a really important set of skills for any future project that you'll have. And if you're able to really engage with a course like this, and especially with the project that we're going to describe later on, it's a great story to be able to tell in the future in an interview, in an application essay, as a unique experience that you are proactively seeking out when able to choose from many different summer course opportunities online this year. So some of these big ideas that you'll be able to grapple with in the course are thinking across disciplines. So this course was specifically designed for students from business, but also students from the arts. So the professor is very much aware that students will be enrolling with all different kind of frameworks for how they view the world and how they approach problems. Cultural sensitivity, this idea that I said you might be bringing a US American perspective or from a different national identity. Your professor will be coming with her own set of kind of cultural frameworks. And so you'll need to challenge yourself to think about that level of complexity. There'll be an element of teamwork, which is always a great experience and something that certainly if your students enrolled at Olin, you're already well familiar with and skilled in. And there will be a consulting project that we'll tell you a little bit more about later on. So the whole course is built around this idea of the business of the arts. It's a problem-based course. It's centered on a tension or conflict between business and the arts, between creativity and viability, between patron and artists, between creation and capitalism, between immediate impact and long-term development. So throughout the course, you'll be whether looking at business case studies, reading about different national arts and culture initiatives, you'll be thinking about this idea of tension and the problems that emerge when business and the arts collide, and you'll be actively proposing solutions. As a case study, this course uses the European Capitals of Culture initiative. So the European Union each year invests heavily in 2 different cities in the EU to promote arts and culture projects. This investment is meant to promote the values of Europe and this idea of European common cultural values. And as a result of this investment, through which millions and millions of euros are invested, there are a series of musical festivals, theater festivals, museums and galleries for 12 months will organize special exhibits and special projects, bring in visiting artists from all around the world. So the idea is to promote arts and culture in that location, but there's also another goal, and that's to promote the development, the economic development, the social development of these lesser known cities and districts. So it's a controversial initiative because obviously when there is this idea of public and private sector investing in the development of cities, we are involved in debates around, what is this investment, where does it come from, and where is it being directed? Ideas like gentrification, the role of business in communities, both positive and negative, ideas like cultural preservation and renewal, but also erasure of culture and of identities. So there are a lot of complex debates that will be centered to this course. As an online course, you'll have the opportunity to study from a very specific perspective of London and the United Kingdom. So Matt will talk us a little bit more about what it is that London provides as a unique host, albeit virtual host, for this course.
Thanks, Jim. Just wanted to start by saying that at this time when obviously travel is not possible, we're very excited to be able to offer this unique global learning experience online. As a result of the pandemic, we have some experience of offering these types of virtual courses, and the student feedback tends to be really positive. Just the opportunity to learn from a local London-based professor and expert guest speakers from another country, I guess it's something a little bit different from what you're able to currently study. Moving on to London, I'm sure many of you have visited London or plan to once life returns to normal. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm a little bit biased, but in my opinion, it is one of the greatest cities in the world, and it does have something for everyone. Whether you're interested in history, architecture, sport, fashion, academia, to the areas we're going to focus on, such as its vibrant culture, arts and performance scenes, and as a global hub for business, it really does have something to interest everybody. It's a very diverse city. Lots of influences from around the world has shaped how we see modern London. Its population is about 8 million, and it usually attracts visitors from all over the world. It's a major financial centre, with a mixture of kind of innovative startups, but also companies that have been trading for centuries and centuries. And all the sectors are currently dealing with the dual challenges of COVID and life after Brexit. The area we're going to focus on is London's arts and culture scene. London has numerous museums and galleries. Nearly all of them are free entry, which is quite unusual. It has 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, including the Tower of London and the Houses of Parliament. And with its mix of old and new architecture, some people view the city itself as a museum, because it really is just walking around and seeing what is to offer. It really is an interesting place. There's a renowned theatre scene and lots of performances, dance, comedy, music, hundreds of venues of large and small sizes across the UK and across London. It accounts for 30% of the global art market. So you can see it's obviously give you an idea of its importance in this area. And then the central focus of this course, as Jim mentioned, is the European Capitals of Cultures Initiative. What we plan to do is hear from some of the key players in future and past cultural programming. So this will include Galway, who were the 2020 Capital of Culture. Obviously, their plans were affected badly by the coronavirus, but that in itself makes it an interesting case study in terms of how they had to try and put their programming online and how they dealt with that issue. We'll also hear from people from the last time the UK was a European Capital of Culture, which was Liverpool in 2008. I won't give too much away, but I will say that Liverpool benefited greatly from the investment in their arts and cultures, and you could really see the impact it had in other areas in the city. And then finally, we will also hear from people from Leeds. Leeds were bidding for the 2023 European Capital of Culture, but their bid was rejected once Brexit happened. So once the Brexit vote came through, they were told they were ineligible. So they plan to go ahead with their own version of this, which will be an interesting case study. And then in terms of the professor, so this virtual course will be taught by Monica Perinda. She's a very experienced lecturer and educational facilitator in the London art scene. She has a lot of experience teaching and supervising students, both undergraduates and postgraduates, at places such as Central St Martin's and the Royal College of Art. She has a lot of experience in leading global projects with student groups and taking the city as its classroom, and she has excellent contacts and connections in the field of art. I've no doubt that she will convene a really interesting and thought-provoking virtual course.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. For sure, I think we know from our work with Monica Parinder that she has led a number of similar courses like this, both online and in person. It will be really an engaging person to spend a couple of weeks of your summer with. So to speak a little bit about the group project, this is really at the center of the course, and students enrolled in the course will be divided into small groups based on interests, based on your previous experience, and other information that you share with your faculty member. And you will, together with the faculty, design a project that will involve research that means directly interviewing artists, creatives, business people in the UK and Ireland, or maybe even beyond, if you have a special interest and you develop that project with your professor. What's really exciting about this course is it was designed to be very flexible. It was designed to, as years passed, from one year to the next, and different European capitals of culture are chosen to move and to be hosted in different places. And while the course will be taught online this summer, that actually gives students a really exciting possibility to work directly with the faculty and maybe select different areas, either within the arts, that may or may not be present in London, but that might be in a different UK city or a different place in Europe, and to propose unique project areas of focus and study that are exciting to you, that relate to your own interest and experience. So there's a lot of flexibility, particularly because of this online format. So small groups will, to give an example, look at identifying problems and then proposing solutions. And those could be within a very narrow area of focus in the arts and culture in the City of London. So looking at, for example, visual artists, musicians, theater technicians, anyone from any realm of arts and culture in London. Or instead, a group might decide to look at a smaller city in the UK, or a city outside of the UK, like Galway in Ireland, the 2020 capital of culture. And because that's a smaller city, to study the entire arts and culture scene and look to identify, the ways in which that arts and culture scene are connected to major problems and opportunities for development and for solutions in business and social life and society for that particular area. So you will define the project together with your professor. You will go out and seek information through research that you can do through published studies, researching different media online. But the most important thing that you'll do is, together with Accent and your faculty member, work to identify different stakeholders, key players, artists in your area of study that you can contact and interview as a way to collect information and learn more about the problem that you're studying. At the end of the course, then, you will put together a panel presentation with your small group, and you will deliver that presentation to and receive feedback from your faculty member, but also some of the key speakers that weighed in during the 2 weeks of the seminar. So it's a really interesting opportunity and a nice concrete takeaway to be able to look at a specific problem and be able to then to speak after the course on some of the solutions that you've proposed. To give you an idea of how this the course will look for the 2 weeks that it's offered in May, it will be a blend of live online courses, pre-recorded sessions, and then time dedicated to group work or specific breakout groups between your group and the faculty member. As a note, of course, being based in London, the online live components will happen in the morning in St. Louis, and then of course you can translate that to wherever you might be in the summer for your own time zone. But it will be generally 9, 10, at the latest 11 a.m. St. Louis time in the morning. It will be a mix of lectures and discussion groups, as I said. But the most exciting thing about this course is that it will incorporate guest speakers from different areas of the arts and culture in London, around the UK, and in other sites around Europe. So you might be speaking to curators and museum managers, artists, performers, past capitals of culture and administrators, EU officials, government folks from different areas. So that makes this course very unique. And then you'll also have the opportunity to participate in some virtual course visits virtually in London. So whether that's visiting museums with a virtual guide, having tickets to a virtual theater performance, to a virtual music festival, for example, these are all things that really will help you to experience and understand how the arts and culture sector is being impacted by this current COVID-19 crisis, economic crisis, but also crisis for the arts in many ways, but opportunity as well for production and for new creation. So it's a unique opportunity. We're really excited to be able to work with Olin Business School, with WashU, to offer this course to you. And we'd love to open up now. If there are any questions that you have, we can take this time to answer them.
Great, thank you so much, Jim. We do have a couple of students on, so I wondered if they might have any questions or want to introduce themselves and say why they're interested in this course. Angela or Morgan, if either of you have questions, feel free to unmute and ask at this time.
I don't have any questions, but thank you so much for your time. And I thought this was very helpful in getting an understanding of what this program is about. So thank you.
Great. Feel free to reach out to myself or Sandra if you do have any questions moving forward. As you can see from this slide that's still up, the application deadline is going to be March 10th. And if you have any questions about where to find that application, it's a pretty quick application. It will be on the Study Abroad portal, similar to the other one. Really not a lot goes into it, but we do need to know who is wanting to do this virtual course as opposed to the in-person one that we had hoped to run this summer. So feel free to reach out at any time if you do have any questions. Stop the recording.